On the 16th of December 1944, the Germans launched Unanhers nah for Operation Autumn Fog, known to English-speaking audiences as the Ardennes Offensive or the Battle of the Bulge. Despite some intelligence warnings of an imminent German attack, the Americans were mostly taken by surprise, and the Germans were able over a 2-week period to carve out the famous bulge in the Allied lines from which the ferocious battle takes its name. However, many people don't know that just 7 weeks prior to Herb's nail, a smaller-scale German offensive was launched in the Netherlands that came as a total surprise to the Allies and managed to penetrate the front line in several places. Some have called the operation a dress rehearsal for the Rennes offensive, a scaled-down version of the December 1944 attack involving German Panzer and Panzer Grenadier divisions launching a well-thought-out offensive at a weak point in the Allied lines. Now, a quick word from our sponsor. In my search for better ways to stay informed, I've partnered with an independent, nonpartisan team. Ground News, their app and website, gathers the world's news in one place, so you can see how different nations are covering the same events. Simply click on an article, for example, UK Minister warns Putin as Royal Navy tracks Russian spy ship. This article is concerned with the Royal Navy closely monitoring a Russian spy ship that has entered British territorial waters. On the right is some data about how the story is being covered by the media on the left. All the articles relating to this topic. If you click on any of these sources, it will take you to the original article. These features and more allow you to understand the events and NAR-IES not being told and have a more balanced, comprehensive view of the world. Go to ground. News felon. To understand how context shapes history and the different ways we interpret current events at Ground News, save 40% on their unlimited access. Vantage Plan. Today, the Netherlands had featured heavily as a battleground in September 1944, when Field Marshal Sard Montgomery's operated Asian Market Garden had seen 3 airborne divisions, 2 American and 1 British, plus a Polish parachute brigade land behind German lines to seize a series of bridges, followed by a thrust by the British 30th Corps to relieve each parachute unit in turn to enable the Allies to hook around the side of the formidable Siegfried line defenses in Germany and end the war in Europe by Christmas 1944. Unfortunately, Market Garden ended as a costly failure for the Allies, though it did result in territory being captured and held up to the city of Nian and its environs. The British also were fighting to seize the important port of Antp in Belgium, vital to resupplying the Allied armies in northwestern Europe, and also prepared to launch a long-delayed offensive into the Ruhr industrial region of western Germany. A problem developed in the region west of the Mars River between the salient held by the Allies' Sin Market Garden and the British 21st Army Group boundary, with the U.S. 19th Corps part of General Bradley's U.S. 12th Army Group, 11 miles north of the city of Master. The area between the two Allied armies was called the Peel Marshes to help strengthen the British for the forthcoming Ruhr offensive. Supreme Allied Commander General Dwight D. Eisenhower agreed to adjust the boundary between the two army groups, which, as I said, ran 11 miles north of massed U.S. forces from the 19th Corps, were to assume responsibility for a major proportion of the region west of the Mars River, freeing up 2 British divisions to move into the Market Garden salient, to be used as a launching point for the projected offensive into the Ruhr. The U.S. command released the 7th Armored Division to 1st Army and the 29th Infantry Division. Eventually, these boundary changes resulted in the U.S. 1st Army being assigned a giant thumb-shaped corridor about 16 miles wide that protruded some 40 miles into the British zone, west of the Mars. The entire corridor, amounting to some 500 square miles, the area encompassed the Peel Marshes, a vast fen covering 60 square miles between the Mars River and the city of Eindhoven, with a very limited road network. The Americans now worked to clear the thumb of Germans estimated to number only about 2,000 to 3,000 troops. In reality, the corridor was garrisoned by a force 7 or 8 times in strength than the U.S. forces assigned to clearing the area, Gahal Corps student, the 1st Parachute Army had stationed within the corridor Gallon OBS Felder's entire 86th Army Corps, consisting of the 176th Infantry Division and Parachute Training Division Adman, the latter made up of instructors and cadets from the Falem Mie airborne schools, and of course contained a high proportion of decorated combat leaders and